Hi, I hope you've been following along and learning about generative AI and all. By now, you should have a reasonable perspective as to what generative AI models are and what are they trained on, etc. In this part 4, I will just briefly compare generative AI models with other types of AI such as predictive AI. Hi, this is Shelly, and this is my YouTube channel AI Economics, where I take concepts such as generative AI and try and simplify them and focus on the applications for management people. Please do like and subscribe this video, like this video and subscribe to my channel, and also hit the bell icon. So, to comparisons. So one of the questions that you might ask is generative in AI very different from predictive AI, the kind of AI that we've been used to? Yes, they are different. Overall, both generative and predictive AI are powerful tools and they have with their own unique applications. Understanding their differences, which I'm going to tell you about, can help you determine which type of AI might be most suitable for your task or situation. I mean, it's not that just because generative AI is a more advanced form of AI, it's something that you need to use all the time. No, that's not at all the case. It has certain specific use cases. Before we before I do the more technical comparison, let's think about it intuitively. Let's think of it intuitively. Imagine a chef. Generative AI In the case of generative AI, the chef is like a creative artist who can invent new dishes based on their knowledge, which they have acquired over time, and understanding of ingredients, which is essentially your existing data. Predictive AI, on the other hand, is like a chef who really knows your data and who understands what are the kinds of recipes and food outcomes customers order based on their past sales data, for example. So based on past data, the chef has a really good understanding of what works and what doesn't work and is able to predict it. So I hope that helps a little bit. But in any case, let's look at it more technically. In terms of the goal, generative AI focuses on creating new data, as I discussed. Predictive AI aims to forecast future outcomes or events based on historical data and patterns. So we've collected the data and we've trained it and then we're predicting. Now you might ask that we do a similar thing in the case of generative AI. We do train it on data. Now, the difference is that in the case of predictive AI, the outcomes are fixed and it is trained according to those fixed outcomes. In the case of generative AI, there is no outcome. The data, the algorithm learns all the patterns within the data and then tries to generate new data, which is in a new combination, so to speak, like a new recipe, for example. The approach, generative AI uses semi-supervised or unsupervised learning. So that's what I meant by saying that it looks at the data and tries to learn the patterns itself. Predictive AI, on the other hand, primarily relies on supervised learning. Supervised learning is where a particular labeled example has a specified or specific outcome already attached to it. An example would be that you have a particular transaction in a bank and it has certain characteristics such as the demographics associated with it, and the outcome is whether it's fraud or not fraud, and that is known already. So that's how you train it. You train the model in predictive AI to predict whether a transaction is fraud or not fraud. Whereas in the case of generative AI, the generative AI might actually generate different types of new financial offerings, etc., when it's trained on this data. Applications. Generative AI is used in various creative fields such as music, art, writing, product design, scientific discovery now, and entertainment. And predictive AI is primarily used for forecasting and for fraud detection, for detecting loan defaults in the people likely to default on a loan. So these kind of cases, these are your typical use cases for predictive AI. Generative AI is not actually that new. It has been around since 2017 at least, and possibly some of the foundations of it were laid even earlier. It is the exponential increase in compute power which has kind of enabled it to really make the kind of strides that it has in recent times. I will split up the development of generative AI into two small phases. The first one is pre-ChatGPT generative AI. Now, the initial development of generative AI was via the in development of the transformer architecture in 2017. This was developed by a Google AI team, and it absolutely revolutionized natural language processing. And this led to the way for far more powerful, versatile generative models. Initially, for example, the first model that came through from this architecture was the Google BERT model, which really helped to make search, for example, much more intuitive initially. Um, Post this, OpenAI's generative pre-trained transformer models, GPT sequences started with GPT-1 in 2018. And this basically was laid the groundwork for the large language models like ChatGPT. Google's BERT, of course, as I mentioned, is another transformer-based model that was very popular. Now, post ChatGPT, since November 2022, ChatGPT basically broke the internet on November when it was released on November 22, 2022. 23 onwards, we saw a huge spate of development, and positively an AI race was sparked off between all the leading tech majors who invested heavily in it, including some major startups as well. So we had many similar models developing, including Google's Gemini, Anthropic's Claude. There is a Chinese model called Ernie. Bloom is the model which is an open source model by the Hugging Face platform. Midjourney is an text to image software which is very famous and really provides quality images. DAL-E again is an example of image to text, and by the way, most of the images which you see in this PPT, which has really, I think, made it look a lot more interesting than your normal PPT, have been generated by me using DAL-E. In the present, new models are coming up all the time, and new capabilities, more importantly. Multimodal models are becoming more and more important. What we mean by multimodal is two things. The first is multimodal inputs, that is text, audio, video, image, and code. These can all be taken. So imagine, a model is then now able to not just understand text input. It can also look at images. It can also, listen to audio, and it can put it all together and come out with a takeout. The second important aspect is that the outputs can also be multimodal, such as generating images, text, or even videos. Again, videos, of course, as I mentioned to you earlier, are something which is in beta, and the models which are looking very, very exciting include Sora by OpenAI, Lumiere by Google, and Jippa by Meta. I hope you found this video engaging. Please hit the like button as it helps with the algorithm. Also, please subscribe to my channel AI Economics and hit the bell icon to be notified about new videos. See you in the next sequence.